lightning beams. I almost didn't do it because I didn't know if we would use it or not.
Kiss? Alright, what do you do with lines of tax?
Hello everyone, and welcome to Kilimanjaro Safaris. In order to keep your wait time to a minimum, we ask that you please keep your group together.
Oh, we can go to, let's go into Discovery Island. I like to do It's a Bug's Life before they close out. Maybe I'd like to see them release the birds, the parrots, around the tree. But I don't know when they do that.
Plenty stuff out this side too.
Hi guys, I have to take the food. You can't have it on the truck. And then no passing them between rows. Where they are is ready. You can see
Sunday Sana Warden, and another thing we like to say here on the reserve, Twin Day, which is Swahili for let's go. Jumbo, everybody, welcome to Kilimanjaro Safaris. My name is Annabelle, and I will be your driver around the Harambe Wildlife Reserve for your safari adventure today. Now, just as a few quick reminders before we get going, please keep all hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the truck at all times. As well as that, please remain seated at all times, even while the truck is not in motion. Also, if you take a look above your head there, you'll see a spotting guide. Got a list of some of the animals we're going to try to see out on the reserve. No promises to all of them, but I'm going to do my best. So make sure to keep those eyes peeled and those cameras out and ready to go. Animals could be appearing at any moment out there. Alright, it looks like we are good to go to head on into the reserve in front of us through these gates. Our first stop today is into a place we like to call the Little Aturi Forest. Now, you may notice a lot of tree cover here in the forest. That does mean a lot of places for animals to hide and blend in. So, animals here do like to use camouflage as their main form of defense against predators. Keep our eyes peeled here, see if we can maybe find one or two out and about right now. Actually, see one already off to your right. It's walking around. That's a large forest antelope. It's called an okapi. Actually, have those little ones fully seated back there for me, please. Those okapi do have some pretty fancy pants on them. Their stripes are behind you of a zebra, but they are in fact more closely related to a giraffe, the only living descendant of the giraffe, in fact. They have the same skeletal structures as well as a long prehensile tongue. Helps them reach up into the tallest of trees out here to rip leaves off of branches. So long, in fact, they can reach up and touch their eyeball with it if they wanted to. As we head deeper into the woods, looks like we're coming up towards a watering hole ahead. And a lot of animals do rely pretty heavily on this water for survival. I actually already see a few around this one. These first two are going to be on your right-hand side at the top of that hill in a big nest. Those are some saddle-billed stork. We've been constructing that nest slowly over the past few weeks. Those saddle-billed stork get their name from a yellow band along their bill, kind of resembles a riding horse saddle. Much larger animal here on your left too. That right there is a black rhinoceros laying down. Those black rhinos do have two horns on the front of their head made of keratin. Those horns are made of keratin. That's the same stuff that your hair and nails is made of, so that they will keep growing throughout the rhino's life just like a big fingernail would. And they are poached pretty heavily for those horns, unfortunately. A lot of people thought they used to have special medicinal properties. While we know that not to be the truth anymore, they are still pretty critically endangered because of a lot of those hunting practices that still go on to this day. Heading out of the forest here, but looks like we've got a few more animals on our left before we do. Top of that hill is an orange-colored antelope. That is called a bongo. There's also a tan-colored one at the base of that hill. That is a greater kudu. My friend back there, make sure you're fully seated for me, please. Thank you. Those bongo and those kudu do have those same vertical white stripes along their back. That's what they use as their form of camouflage out here. And those stripes are meant to mimic the rays of the sun coming through the forest canopy, making them really, really tricky to spot under some of these trees. Alright, now we are making our way here out of the Little Aturi Forest and headed to our next ecosystem on the reserve. This one's known as the Safi River. The river is home to a lot of the more aquatic animals that live out here, such as hippopotamus, crocodile. These large white birds here on your right, there's some pink-backed pelicans. There is a hippo in that back right corner, but it's not the best view of it. If you can't see it too well just yet, don't worry. We're going to try to get you another look here on your left-hand side in just a moment. Now, these pink-backed pelicans do get their name from the pink coloring you may notice along their feathers. Not super bright right now, but they get a little more vibrant during mating season. There actually is a hippo right under where that like beige leafage there, and this one sitting under there. We're gonna see if we can find some here on your left as well. Now, hippopotamus is Latin for river horse. Well, they do spend a lot of their time in the water. They don't actually swim around too much. They're too heavy to, in fact. So instead, they like to walk or run along the bottom of those rivers they live in, just like a horse would. They're pretty large animals. They can weigh around 5,000 pounds fully grown. That's about the same size as your average mid-sized SUV. But despite that size, they can still reach speeds of up to 35 miles per hour on land. There is one over that railing there to your left. You might be able to see it if you're on that left-hand side. Just over that railing. And there is another one just under that waterfall there too. You can kind of see the shadow of it moving under the water. Again, that is where they spend most of their time, so that's usually where you find them. Another animal here on your left that you're going to see a little bit better. These right here, some Nile crocodile. A Nile crocodile can eat about half of their body weight in one feeding. They can grow to be around 20 feet in length as well. That's about as long as a giraffe is tall, for reference. You might notice a couple of them down there as well, smiling up at you with their mouths open. There is a reason they do that. They're not very good at regulating their temperature on their own. So they open up their mouths to dispel heat from their body back out into the atmosphere. That helps them keep a little bit cooler out here in the really humid river. Yeah. Now we are leaving the river, moving on into a much drier ecosystem up ahead that you may have heard of before. This one's called the savanna. Here on the savanna, you might recognize a few more pretty familiar animals. You're also going to be seeing a lot less trees here in just a moment. And that's because a lot of plants and a lot of animals out here do have to make several adaptations to survive the warmer and drier climates that they experience all the time out here. We're going to get a good look at our first example of an adaptation coming up on our right. Not an animal, though. It's this large, funky-looking tree right here. This is called a baobab tree. Baobabs do remain leafless for about 9 months out of the year, and they store a lot of water in those really, really big trunks of theirs. Just like water towers out here, they provide water to animals all across the savanna, especially during the dry season when they can't find other sources of it. And because of that, they are sometimes referred to as the tree of life. As we head down this hill, you're about to see one of my favorite views on the entire reserve. It does let you see how far across the savanna in front of you, giving you a little preview of some of the animals we're going to be seeing here in just a few short moments. I already see a couple of them over some of these bushes. We are going to get you a little bit closer look here at a lot of them in just a minute. But you may already see a few familiar faces up there. I think I see some giraffe. We might be seeing some zebra here shortly. Some wildebeest, it looks like. Maybe a few unfamiliar ones too. So as we head forward, we'll take a closer look at all of them, figure out what they are, and maybe learn a little bit more about them as we go.
Oh, there's a giraffe in the trees.
First animal, of course, off to your right there in between some of those trees is a giraffe. You probably all knew that. You may not have known, however, that that is a Maasai giraffe. There's different kinds of them. And the way you can tell the difference between all of those kinds is using those markings that they have. Maasai giraffe spots are a little bit of a darker brown color. They also have a more irregular shape to them. They're not as smooth as some others are. Those Maasai are one of the rarer subspecies of giraffe. You don't see them as commonly as some others do. You might be more accustomed to seeing the reticulated giraffe, who do have smoother looking spots. They're a little bit more orange in color.
You turn it sideways and click it, you automatically go to camera. It's great.
As we head forward to go see a few animals on the other side of some of these trees in front of us, we are passing a large den of rocks first on our left here. This could be a pretty suitable habitat for some predators you might find in this area, and I have heard a few reports of a pack of African painted dogs around here, so I think that's what we're looking for right now. I do see some of them actually already. If you look at that den, they're laying down just to the right-hand side. They're kind of yellow in color with black and white spots. Again, those are some African painted dogs. They're very good endurance runners. Those dogs, they can reach speeds of 40 miles per hour. Maintain that for up to 3 miles at a time. They're actually the only animal up there that you're not going to see on that spotting guide. I see you looking. They're added a little bit later on than that spotting guide was made. Now here on our left, a couple different antelope that we've got up to. That first one, closest to the track, we've already mentioned them. There's some wildebeest. Maybe a little bit more familiar to you. One's a little bit further back, though. one of those unfamiliar ones. Those are some sable antelope. Have those really long horns. Sable antelope are the emblem, actually, of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Little mascot we got here. They're known for their fighting spirit. They are one of the few antelope species around here that will turn and fight off their predators rather than running from them. Pretty cool when you see them turn and fight off a lion. Now, these wildebeest here are another really good endurance runners, big distance runners they are. They are one of the migrators you'll find out here. And every year, 1.5 million of those wildebeest will migrate 500 miles across the African savanna in search of water. And that's the largest land migration on the planet, known as the Great Migration. They do also secrete an oil from their hooves. Smells kind of funky to us humans, but it helps those wildebeest keep track of one another as they're migrating those really long distances out here. Just a minute, we're gonna head on over here to the opposite side of the savanna in front of us. Looks like there's a couple more animals on that hill up there. I do see a couple of wildebeest. I think I see some zebra coming out of the bushes too. Now those zebra are going to be first here on your right. Just behind this green truck, you'll see a couple of them kind of hiding back there. Those are some Hartman's mountain zebra. Just like that giraffe you saw, there's different kinds. And again, you can tell what kind they are based on their markings that they have. Hartman's mountain zebra stripes are a little bit thicker, especially along those back legs. There's a few more walking up from the trees. A group of zebra like that's kind of a weird name. They're called a dazzle of zebra. Those stripes do create a dazzling effect on their predators, really confuse them, and make it difficult for them to tell where one zebra starts and the other one ends in a really large group. Now, there's those wildebeest again off to your right. We're making our way around here. We're going to get a closer look at some giraffe and some of these palmetto trees in front of us. There's also some springbuck. Well, a small tan-colored antelope on top of that hill there to your right. Now, the springbuck get their name from a jumping motion they'll do while they're running called pronking. That is where they jump 13 feet forward and 6 to 8 feet straight up. That's enough to jump through the windows on either side of your head if they wanted to. And there's those giraffe. Again, Maasai giraffe right there. So that group is another kind of interesting name too for a group. A group like that's called a tower of giraffe. That's a pretty fitting name though, I think, for the tallest animal on land. They do stand 18 to 20 feet tall, fully grown, and about 6 feet tall when they're first born. That's taller than your average human adult. Those necks themselves are about 6 feet long when they're fully grown, which is kind of crazy to think about. Especially when you compare them to a person's neck. They have the same amount of vertebrae in there as people do. Theirs are just a little bit more elongated than a person's. Here's one going to be pretty close to our right. One of my favorite facts about giraffe, they only sleep about 30 minutes every single day. Usually in 2 to 5 minute power naps, and usually standing up.
Isn't that amazing?
We're gonna make our way around to the opposite side of that hill on our right in just a few minutes. Check out a few more animals over there. As we move forward though, looks like we are navigating through a lot of downed trees in the road. Looks like something big has been through here recently, so I'm gonna take a guess and say we might be about to head deeper into elephant territory. Now, if we're gonna see an elephant, it would be here on our right-hand side. It's that biggest opening in this space. Looks like there might also be something coming up on our left-hand side as well. I do see it actually. There is a monkey up on top of those rocks there. That is a mandrill monkey. The Rafiki from The Lion King. That's going to be the famous mandrill that you all know. Those male mandrills are very large. They can weigh 100 pounds fully grown, and they're the largest subspecies of monkey on the planet. Those smaller ones back there kind of chirping are the females, not those babies. Females are much smaller than the males are.
Oh, there they are, yeah.
I'll see if we can find an elephant maybe here on our right past this closed road. Oh, I see it there.
Where? Oh, there he is. Oh, wow. Holy cow.
That is a big male elephant there, much larger than the females are. Those males, they can weigh 13,000 pounds fully grown. They do also have Or excuse me, they are usually solitary. You don't find them with the rest of the herd very frequently. We are going to try to find a herd now with a couple of females in it. And if we're really lucky today, maybe a little baby elephant too. Elephant sightings like that, though, are unfortunately getting a little more few and far between. They're one of the more critically endangered animals here on the reserve, and they find themselves in a lot of human-animal conflict, especially with farmers in Africa. They'll often encroach on farmers' land and eat their crop, and this has led to the loss of some elephant life. So scientists here on the reserve have been working really, really hard to try to come up with a solution to that problem. And in doing so, they were able to figure out that elephants are actually afraid of honeybees. If they ever come across a nest in the wild, they will run in the other direction. And honestly, I probably would too. I don't blame them. So these farmers place what's called a honeybee fence all up around their field, help them protect their crop from those elephants, and it also kept those elephants safe. So it's a win-win for everybody involved in that situation, even the bees who get some free lodging out of it. Well, this is called the Elephant and the Bee Project. Very interesting, very real stuff that was actually created by scientists right here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. So it's kind of close to home for us. I do think I see a herd of some elephants way off in the distance over there. Looks like we might be getting a closer look at some of them here in just a moment. We'll keep heading over in that direction so we can see them a little bit better. They are very social animals, these female elephants. They spend a lot of time in big herds like this one, consisting mainly of females and calves. And they are run by a matriarch as well, rather than a patriarch. Males like the one you saw earlier usually kicked out of the herd when they're big enough to defend themselves on their own. As well as those elephants on there, you're going to be seeing another giraffe here pretty close to the truck on our left. You can really see those irregular shaped spots that they have there now that we're close up. Coming up on our right there too is another animal with some pretty long horns. Those are called Ankole cattle. Those horns that they have do get to be 6 to 8 feet in length. Please don't call out those animals for me. They are hollow on the inside, have a honeycomb-like structure that allows a lot of blood to flow through them. When the wind catches those horns, it does cool off that blood before it's then transported back down to the rest of their body.
Those guys.
Elephants do spend a lot of time near watering holes like this one in front of us, and there's going to be an elephant just on the other side past this tree. They do drink this water, of course, like all animals here on the savannah, but they also suck up a lot of water and mud into those big trunks that they have. They'll spray it along their backs to help keep themselves cool. As well as that, when that mud cakes onto them, it does act as a form of natural sunscreen for the elephant. You'll see the elephant very briefly here on your left over this ridge. Ollie!
What? Did he seriously? What?
Pause.
Are you kidding me?
Some very brightly colored birds here on your left. These are some greater flamingo right here. Those flamingo get that fabulous pink coloring of theirs from the beta carotene they eat in their diet. A lot of krill, a lot of other crustaceans turns them that nice, pretty pink color. You may also notice those joints along their legs that look a little bit like their kneecaps. Those are actually their ankles. Their knees are a little bit higher up on their body underneath those feathers up there. There's that elephant. You'll see her through the gap in the trees right here pretty well. A group of flamingos like that, known as a flamboyance of flamingos. You may have noticed there's a couple really interesting names for groups of animals out here. We've talked about a few of them already. There's bloats of hippos, towers of giraffe, dazzles of zebra, and one of my personal favorites coming up here in just a second. You'll see him. This is a crash of some rhinos. Crash of some white rhinos right here. Now I do think the term crash is especially ironic because rhinos have really, really terrible eyesight. They're extremely nearsighted. They are so blind, in fact, that if you took a person, had them stand about 100 feet away from those rhino and stand completely motionless, that rhino would have no idea that person was there, if it wasn't for their very good hearing, at least. And again, these are white rhinos right here. Despite what their name suggests, however, white rhinos are not actually that much lighter in coloring than black rhinos are. That name actually came from the mistranslation of a Dutch word, wijd, meaning wide, because they do have a wider mouth to help them graze on grasses out here. little bit different than that black rhino you saw in the forest. They do have a more triangular shaped mouth with a prehensile upper lip that helps them rip leaves off of trees. Now, I saw some movement in front of us. Nothing here in this first ridge just yet, but on that second one, there was another predator walking around. I believe some cheetah up there. We'll see if we can get you a little bit closer here in just a second as we move forward. Looked like it was walking to the left-hand side of that ridge. We'll see if we can see it up there as we move it by.
Bye-bye, Buzz.
There she is.
Look.
I only see the one up there, I think. However, when you find a group of cheetah together, they're another kind of interesting name. It's called a coalition of cheetah. And cheetah are, of course, the fastest animal on land. They can reach speeds of 60 miles per hour in just 3 seconds, capping out at around 70 miles per hour. They're one of the few predators out here as well that hunt during the daytime rather than the nighttime. Most predators are like this group that you're going to see up here on these Kobe rocks. They're sleeping during the day. These are a pride of some lions. You can see some feet up there sticking up into the air.
One has his leg up.
Now, these rocks right here are called Kobe rocks, K-O-P-J-E. If you've ever seen the movie The Lion King, they might look a little bit familiar to you. Might remind you of Pride Rock. You'll often find lions just lying around on top of them. Use them as a lookout point while they're searching the savannah for prey. Helps them see out far across the land on their hunts. Also, sometimes, like right now, they use them as a good nap time spot. They do sleep a lot, those lions, just like our cats at home. They rest about 16 to 20 hours out of the day. So much so, they're only awake for about 3 years of their entire life. They're much more active at nighttime. That's when they're going to go on most of their hunts. Now, there's some large birds there on your right. Those do look like some ostrich back there. Some female ostrich by that green truck. There's some water buck back there too, brown shaggy antelope. We're going to see if we can see them one more time as we come around to the other side of these rocks as well. We'll check the back of the Kopies first, see if we can see those lions again. I do think they're too far tucked away on the other side. But it was pretty cool to briefly see them. You will often hear a lion before you see one. They do have really powerful roars. Can be heard from up to 5 miles away. They're so loud. Now, Simba and Nala were back there. We found one of their friends here, too, on our left, Pumbaa. If you look behind that tree at the very top of that hill, there's 3 of them back there, digging. Now, those are some warthogs up there. Warthogs are the largest burrower on the savannah, second largest on Earth. They use those big tusks that they have to dig their holes, and they also have flexible noses, which help them look for food while they're digging in the ground. I also like to call them the recyclers out here on the savannah because if they ever come across a burrow that's unoccupied, they'll go ahead and take that for themselves. A little bit less work for them at the end of the day. Now here's a closer look at those ostrich and waterbuck. Right now is a female ostrich. No, it's a female because of her lighter coloring that she has. Males are going to be a little bit darker in color and a little bit larger as well. And I think I see why those ladies might be hanging around. Down this path here, right, you will see a whole bunch of eggs right here in the ground. That's a nest of some ostrich eggs right there. Now, those eggs are pretty big. They can weigh 3 to 4 pounds individually. About 20 times the size of your average chicken egg. And their shells are so tough that if you took a fully grown human adult and had them stand on it, those shells would be able to withstand that weight and not crack under the pressure. Alright, now we are making our way here into our next and final stop on the reserve. That is into the Magadi Glen. A few of our wardens set up this outpost a while ago and started raising some Nigerian dwarf goats the last I heard, though it does look like they've slightly overrun the place a little bit. As their name suggests, these goats are fully grown. They're not going to get any bigger than they are right there. A lot of villagers like to keep them around because they do produce a pretty sweet milk. I like to think they keep them around though because, look at them, they're super cute. Do find themselves in places they don't belong though. Top of buildings, back of cars, sometimes on the dinner table, as you can see there. You never know where you're going to find them out here. And as we make our way through this gate in front of us, that does mean we are officially going to be leaving the reserve and unfortunately nearing the end of our safari. As we make our way back to the village, though, I'm going to take this time to get a little bit deeper with y'all because the harsh reality is that a lot of the animals we just saw are threatened or endangered in some way. And a lot of that is due to human involvement, unfortunately. So conservation is something that's more important than it ever has been before. And I know you all may be thinking, what could one person do to possibly make a difference out there? Well, the answer to that is a lot simpler than you would probably first expect. It's actually as easy as turning off light switches when you leave the room, or shutting off water that's not in use, like when you're brushing your teeth. I like to think of it not only as our job to protect the earth, but rather our privilege to. Because we love the animals here on the reserve, and we want to make sure they stick around as long as possible for our future generations and for ourselves to enjoy. Now we are getting close to the village ahead, so I'm going to find the nearest warden's outpost to drop you all off at. But it's been a pleasure taking you around the reserve with me. I do hope you enjoyed seeing a lot of the animals out there as much as I enjoy talking about them. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, concerns about anything you saw or heard out there, my windows are quite literally always open, so feel free to pop your head in after. Even if you just want to say hi, you are more than welcome to do so. Now we're going to be dropping you off at one of these two docks here in front of us, whichever one opens up, and then you can enjoy the rest of your day out there in Animal Kingdom once I set you free. Good way to do that, of course, is to go see a few more animals. Got plenty of opportunity nearby. There is the Gorilla Falls Trail right next door I recommend checking out. It's a 15 to 20 minute self-guided walking trail. It'll take you around to see a family of some lowland gorillas, an underwater viewing pool for some hippos, some okapi, zebra, naked bull rats, a lot of things like that that you can go check out. As well as the Gorilla Falls Trail here in Africa, similar trail over in Asia. That is called the Maharaja Jungle Trek, and over there you'll find some Komodo dragons, Sumatran tigers. We did just have a little baby Sumatran tiger born there just last week. He is out usually in the morning, but you can go over there and see if you can catch him still out and about. There's also some giant Asian fruit bats on that trail, which do freak me out just a little bit, but they're pretty cool to look at if you're brave enough for that sort of thing. Alright, we are now second in line for this dock up ahead here. That's where I'm going to let y'all go. Go ahead and do me a favor though, take a look at those seats around you. Gather up any of those loose personal belongings you may have. You don't want to leave anything behind here on the truck, because our safaris do tend to run a pretty long time.